Hello, everyone. My name is Yassmine Othman, and this is Tell Me Over Coffee. Soon we will be having our first guest. This is the same show as Cuéntamelo con un café, but only for non-Spanish speakers. And, today is our premiere, and I am really honored and proud to present our guest who is going to be premiering with me this new show. This show is going to be on Tuesdays, and if you are from the industry, the artistic industry, whether you are from theater or film, TV, audiovisual, filmmaker, screenplay writer, whatever, if you want to be my guest, well, just send me a direct message and we will check the calendar and book you in. So I have Santi Gomez here. So I'm going to say hi and hello to Pablo and to Belen. And well, we're going to be waiting for my guest to be in and pop in and say hello. So we have hola, hi. As I said, this space is to interview professionals and soon-to-be professionals who are non-Spanish speakers. The interviews can be either in English, in French, or Italian. If you are a Spanish speaker and would like to be interviewed and be our guest, then you should contact me for Thursdays. That's when we have Cuéntamelo con un café, and we have the interviews in Spanish, whether it's Spanish from Spain or South America or any other Spanish-speaking country, which would be Central America, for example, or even Florida or some of California. But I would just like to separate both shows and have a Spanish-speaking one. And here is my guest who is going to come in. Hopefully, she's there. You guys will like her a lot. She's a great actress. And I'm just so excited to be able to interview her. And allowing for everyone to get to know her a bit more. So here we are, waiting and waiting. Little by little, I'm getting used to using this media to do the interviews. And we're about to get there. Okay. Hello. Well, hello. Hello.
How are you?
Oh,
You
I
don't have a mess
fine.
behind me.
I'm fine, and really, I'm delighted to be here. And it's such an honor to premiere Tell Me Over Coffee with you. It's just so, wow, exciting, very exciting.
And I'm really happy to be here. Thank you for having me so much.
Okay, so let me tell you guys who is my special guest today. As I said, I couldn't be happier and honored to have a very special guest premiere with me, Tell Me Over Coffee. She's an international actress who has appeared in numerous film, television, and theater productions throughout the US and Europe. She is also the founder and president of the nonprofit organization, Dallas Actors of Color, dedicated to the progress, support, and diversity of actors of color in America. She is bilingual in Spanish, where she learned living abroad, and she is a native to Dallas, Texas, but now works and lives between the United States and Europe. So,
yes.
Everyone, let's welcome Amber SHANA Williams.
Hello, everyone. Marvelous introduction.
Well,
Got
you
me
know how
blushing
I
over
like
here.
to, just, it's the truth. I mean, I'm not inventing anything. This is who you are. So who you are is who you are supposed to be known for.
It
So,
sounds really amazing when you say it, though. I feel like she's talking about me. So,
about you, of course. So let's get into action. Tell us how you one day decided to become an actress.
well, you know what? It's like Meisner said, we're all actors the day that we're born. And I think the day I realized I wanted to be an actor, I may have been really small. And I think I was standing there in my underwear with a remote control as my microphone, and I was getting down. And I said, but that's not a logical thing to do with your life. You can't be an actor. That's imaginary. That's a dream. It's a pipe dream. You have to do something logical, like be a nurse, be a doctor, and therein my dreams were squashed for a while until I got in high school. And I got a little taste in, and I started starring in plays, and I was like, this is amazing. Are you sure I can't do this? And once again, life came in and said, no, you need to do something respectable, like go to college. And so that's exactly what I did. I have no idea how I went to college, did all this, got my human resource sociology degree, and here I am using none of it.
No, you're not using none of it. Okay, we got you back. What I'm going to say, oh, sorry, I'm just blocking my mic. I'm sorry, but at a point, we kept hearing you, but your image was, we couldn't see you well.
Okay.
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 All right.
But am I here now?
No, yeah, you're here now. You're here.
Okay.
Right. So, yeah, well, yeah, I mean, what you just said, it's true. Why can't you be whatever you want to be?
Exactly.
Okay. So, let's get into what you've done. Your most recent works have been the feature films Remember Me, directed by Martin Rosete, Black Beach, directed by Esteban Crespo, and The Chosen, a TV series directed by Dallas Jenkins. Yes. All three very different between themselves. Tell us about them, and if you kept a part of your character in each of the projects, or have you resembled in any of those projects to your character?
Well, you know, let's start with Remember Me. So what a lot of people don't know about me is that I went to nursing school. And so my character in Remember Me was a nurse. And not only was she a nurse, but she was a nurse in a nursing home. Yeah. And I spent most of all of my life up until 25 years old taking care of my grandparents. So the essence of that character, which her name was Zephyr, was who I was up until about 25 years old, which is basically a nurse for my grandparents. So I just felt so connected to who she was. It was my first time starring alongside a really big name like Bruce Dern and Brian Cox. I was extremely excited because here I am in Spain, not sure how I'm going to be able to pursue my goals from another country where I don't speak the language fluently. And here I am working alongside Bruce Dern and Brian Cox, being directed by Goya-nominated director Martin Rosete. And I'm like, I was blown out of the water. For Black Beach, I'm here. I can't, actually, I auditioned for that. That was one of my very first auditions when I came to Spain. And I didn't hear anything for almost 2 years. Such a long time between having an audition and booking a role. And I didn't get the initial role that I went out for because the movie was initially going to be in English. And so usually that's like, tengo suerte. But once it changed to Spanish, because of where I was at that time, I was no longer in the running for that role. But I guess they liked me so much that they found something for me to do and they put me in that. And it was such an amazing experience. But I think out of all three of those projects, The Chosen has stuck with me the most. And I think it's because they have such a dedicated fan base of devout believers and people so strong in their faith. And what really stuck with a lot of people who saw me on that series is that I looked a lot like them. So a lot of time you're watching shows, and if me, a woman, you're watching a show, you're kind of waiting to see if someone looks like you eventually. And for those who are seeing the show, it may have not been at the forefront of their mind, but once I came on the screen for them, it was like a breath of relief to see Tamar and this woman with this beautiful faith. And not only was she like in the background, she was there in the forefront. And it was a beautiful experience. I'm still getting a lot of love for that. And I maybe carry that character with me the most.
When I saw the clips you sent me, I told you, it's totally you. I mean, no other actors could have done that part. I mean, it was just
Listen,
totally you.
Wardrobe is some of the most talented people I've ever worked with. If you just look at the detail and the beauty of the pieces that they made, from the bodice and the dress, and the necklace was custom made just for me to wear. In that, I'm still like in awe of some of the amazing things that went on in that production.
Talking about the necklace, could you keep it?
Yes.
You kept the necklace.
I wish, no. But they did give me the name of the designer, so I may be calling her soon.
Yeah, that's great. Well, they could have given you the necklace. I mean, it was made for you, so.
Well, I will tell you this. You might see me wearing it again, because the production for The Chosen announced maybe a couple of months ago that we may be seeing Tamar again, which is the name of that character. So Woo! Fingers crossed that you'll be seeing me again, and hopefully I'll be in that necklace.
That's cool. So cool. I'm so happy for you. Honestly, I am. You know, it's been a long way. It's been a long way, and you've worked a lot for all this. And
oh, absolutely.
And I know it. I know it personally, and it's so great. As you said, and I said previously, you are the founder and president of a nonprofit organization called Dallas Actors of Color. Can you please tell us a bit more about this and why you decided to create this organization?
Right. Okay. So I will tell you a little bit how it came about. It came about, I was in Dallas, and as an actor, we go out to auditions and we get castings, and a lot of times when you go out for these castings, you're there with a lot of people that look like you. For the sake of casting, they kind of bring in the same look at the same time so they can have them in one time frame. And so I was often there with a lot of women that looked like me. I never spoke with them. I didn't know their names. It was kind of like, hello, goodbye. And there was really no connection whatsoever. I never knew their names, and this went on for years, the years that I had been acting out there. And I really was lacking community, and I really had no friends. The friends I did have were like maybe a few on Facebook I never spent time with, and it was like a hole in my heart. And one day I was talking to one of my friends from Facebook. We finally met up. She was an extremely talented actress from the Dallas area as well. And we were talking about that, like, why don't we have a space where we feel like we belong, and we can come together and we can get rid of this empty hole where our community is missing. The fellowship of having a community is missing. And so the next day, I was like, what am I waiting for someone to create this for? Why don't I create it myself? So I thought really hard and long on the name. And I was like, I could be Black actors, I could be African American this. I was like, no, I decided we're going to be Dallas Actors of Color, because we're not just going to be Black actors, we're going to be Hispanic actors and Asian actors and Indigenous Native American actors, and we're going to encompass all actors of color, because right now we need to come together as a community. And I decided that our goals were going to not only create a system of support, a family of sorts, that we were going to push for progress, we were going to push for diversity, and we were going to change the narrative. And the narrative is, when you see a lot of films and there's a role for a person of color, usually they're what? Criminals or criadas, or their nannies, or their cleaning ladies, or something like this, single mothers, drug addicts. And we want to make sure that we are seeing people that represent us. I'm none of those things. Those stories exist and they need to be told. But what about the people like me who we're struggling students, or who are average working individuals who have real life problems that we also want to be told on screen? And we want to raise the standard, at which we work our craft, and in which we fellowship. So that was the goal, and we started with 35 members, and now we're about 1,300 members.
Wow.
So, it's a lot. And so right now we're still trying to work on our structure, on what works best for us in our community, especially with everything going on now. But it's really beautiful to see how much we've grown in the past few years.
That's amazing. I'm really, really, it's just amazing. How long?
Well, we just turned 3. So for 3 years, I've been managing or founded Dallas Actors of Color. I actually started it right before I moved to Spain. I'm awful with timing. As many years as I was in Dallas and I could have created something like this, I waited until I was about to leave to Spain. But the very beautiful thing about it is, because we have formed this beautiful community, I now have people there that can run it, because I have what we say in America, boots on the ground. I have people right there that can handle things that need to be done in the city, in the community, when I can't do it while I'm in Spain.
Mm-hmm. Well, it's amazing. I mean, I'm so happy for you, and and for the organization. I mean, it's just wow. I mean, it's in 3 years. What can I say?
We've grown exponentially.
I mean, this is important, so people can understand how many of us are out there trying to not trying to be an actor. No, we are actors. It's just we're trying to get there. And sometimes you do need a place where not only to learn, but to share, a place where you need to cry, because sometimes you need for another actor who maybe at times is the only person who can understand what you're going through, because they know what it is. It's
yes,
really,
and so we have also mentorship programs where the new actors that are starting in the industry can come and connect with a more seasoned actor who's been here for a while to help them out. Because I remember when I was starting, I got caught up in so many scams. Every mistake you can make as a new actor, I made it. And what we want to do is provide them with the tools and the resources that they need to be able to circumvent all of those issues and kind of get the best head start that they can in this industry, and especially without being exploited. That's most important to us. So we love new actors. We want to make sure that they have the best resources and tools possible to get started in the industry.
Well done. Well done. Okay, now you've been living in Madrid for some years. How many years?
Yes.
About 3?
About 3 years. So I moved to Madrid in June 2017.
Mm-hmm. Can you tell us the difference between the industry in the US and in Europe, or more specifically in Spain?
Yes. So first I'm going to start on the back end. With your agencies and your management here, your representation in Spain is much closer here. And it's also, the jobs are combined here in Spain. A representante is your agente and your manager. So your manager and your agent are kind of like the same person here in Spain. In the States, it's completely different. You have an agent, and that's the person that works to get you the audition, that works to get you in the room. They work closely with casting and casting directors. And then you have a manager, and they're the person that works with your career, not necessarily to get you auditions. They're working to make sure that you're seen in all aspects of your career. They help you to get public speaking events and magazine shoots, and your manager also gets about 10% of everything that you make. That's their cut. No matter what it is, they get 10%. Your agent, on the other hand, gets 10% of jobs they book for you. Now that's going to be on the back end. As far as production goes, it's going to be more or less similar. I actually want to say that it's going to be having a lot in common, the way that the production set is actually run in Spain. In fact, I feel like I get treated a I hope no one's watching. Please book me after I say this. But I do feel like I get a little bit better treatment in Spain and Europe in general, because I worked not only in Spain, I worked in Italy and Portugal, and I feel like I've gotten better treatment as an actor. They've been more concerned about, you know, my well-being on set, and it's been overall a more professional production. Now, of course, in the US, when you have professional productions, it's more or less the same. But we have a lot of large non-union productions going on as well, which we call non-union anything that is not franchised by SAG-AFTRA, which is a big deal in the US. And that's not something that's really here in Spain, is having separation between union and non-union work. That's a big deal where we're from. And there is some differences between working on those kinds of sets. Some things positive, some things just different in general. But yeah, I would say as far as just quality of treatment, I feel like I get a little bit better treatment here in Spain. But they treat me well in the States too. But Spain will pick me up from my door and take me to set, take me up from set and drop me off right back on my door. I think when in the States, you kind of have to be of a certain caliber actor to receive these sorts of benefits on set, I think, in general.
Going back to the question of that you were explaining, that's very different. Manager, agent here in Spain, it's the same thing. Whereas in the States, the manager really is in charge of your artistic and social life, and is in charge of putting you in the level where you're supposed to be, not only in order to be seen, but in order to be considered.
Yeah.
Don't you think that we are lacking that?
Yeah, absolutely. I feel like that is something that Spain could benefit from having here, is separating agents and managers, at least the duties of that, because it takes when you have a roster with a certain number of clients, it takes a lot of pressure off you having to do everything for your client. And that benefits them, and that benefits you in the end, because now they're out here being seen by more productions, which in turn could get you more money as an agent, but while they're building these relationships. But as an actor, I would prefer, you know, of course, once I reached a certain status in my career, to have a manager, because I feel like Europe as a whole, I'm from the States, I think you can fit maybe a couple of Europes into the States. Okay? So to navigate all of these opportunities within all these different countries for me, and build these relationships that your agent may not have reach into. And it just for me as an actor, it would benefit me more to have a team, like in the States. In the States, you have a team. Once you reach a certain level, I can't stress that enough. If you're just starting out acting, you really don't need a manager at all. You have to build a career first. But once you've built a career and a substantial resume, it helps to have a team. You know, you have your agent and you have your manager, and you want to make sure they have a good relationship. But then you can have multiple agents in the US. So you can have an agent in Southwest, so in Texas, and then you can have an agent in LA, and then you can have an agent in Atlanta, and then you can have one in New York or Florida, pending that your contract says it's, you know, non-exclusive. But you usually only have one manager, but they'll be able to connect all of them together for the good of your career. Here in Europe, you usually have one agent, and it's usually an exclusive contract, unless it's commercial or theatrical. And you're kind of left at the mercy of whatever relationships they have built. So maybe that's good for you, or maybe it's not good for you, because you have to think, as an actor, you are your only client. I am the only client that I have, which means my brand and my name is going to be my priority. And I have to think of myself as a business when it comes to a certain point.
That's why I think that in Spain, the figure of the manager should exist, because I know very few agents here in Spain who do the manager job for their clients, their representees, such as obviously it's easier for an actor. Firstly, it's indiscussable that the actor has to have talent, etc., etc. That we're okay with that. But it is true that the more they see you, the better chance you get to get to know a director, a casting director, someone who has something for you. How do you get this? You get this with events, attending events, getting to know people, getting to know directors, getting to know, and obviously who has the power, who should have the power to do this is the manager. It's not the actor that has to look for these events, right? And that's a manager's job.
Well, it's my opinion that an actor should be hands-on to a certain extent. Once you reach a certain point in your career, it's overwhelming for you to be handling all of this yourself. Now, of course, I don't feel like I'm at that point in my career yet, but I would hope that once I am, that I would have someone able to take this weight off of me, scheduling events, finding out what interview is going to be for my best interest, and if I should participate in this magazine interview or go on this television show or something like this, should my career, God willing, get that far. Because as an actor, your job is to be focusing on acting, and that's a lot. That's emotionally tasking job to be storytelling all the time. And a lot of people don't really understand what goes on with acting. You think you can just turn on lights, camera, and we just, and that's it. No, that takes a lot out of us, physically, emotionally, mentally, and a lot of those scripts we have to learn. Sometimes we're learning multiple ones at a time. No one has all this spare time to also be managing smaller things within that once they get to a certain point in their career. So you're absolutely right. I think it should be made available here in Spain, and it probably is, but it's probably only there for those really high, top-notch actors. But then I also notice here in Spain, they recycle actors, and we use this term to say that they use the same actors to do everything. I find that's kind of a problem for me, because you're not giving new faces and talented actors. There are some talented actors here who would really benefit from having the opportunity to be put into projects, large projects and series and films here in Spain or throughout Europe, but they're not given the opportunity for whatever reason, because they're going to just keep using the same actors over and over again.
That's why I insist that I do firmly consider that the figure of a manager is important, because for instance, in the case of many actors who haven't been in the industry for a long time and are not media actors, they're not known, they have to look for all this for themselves. Obviously, once you get to a certain level, you do need to have someone, an assistant or someone to take care of that, because you don't have time. But until the time being, you do have an agent, right? Some call themselves managers, but they're really not managers, because they're not managing your career. They're only looking for a job for you. And if you get it, great. If not, well, I'm sorry. But that's the point. I do consider and believe firmly that it is important that that figure exists in order to position the client. The client is the actor, and it's not the actor's job to position himself. It's his manager to do it, or his agent. And if he doesn't know, I mean, um, myself, I have been recycling myself doing other things. And I look for it. And if something I think is going to be beneficial for me, well, I look for the information, I check it out. And if I think it's something that's feasible and it's going to be positive, I do it. Well, they should do the same thing, because at the end of
Yeah.
the day, they live from you.
Well, acting takes a certain amount of initiative. Like, no actor should ever be waiting for anyone to do anything, because they're not, and we're always going to be disappointed. It
True.
takes a certain amount of initiative. It takes a certain amount of audacity. Audacity to be an actor, because if we waited for permission to do anything or anyone to do something for us, we'd be waiting forever.
Yeah.
It's up to us to set the standard of what we expect from the people that essentially work for us. And I think that a lot of actors forget, and I'm not saying I'm like the expert on this, but I'm just using my years of experience up to now. The problem with what a lot of actors think is that agents are God, and the casting directors are God. They're amazing, and they're a great resource, and they're very important, but you are your most important resource. They are there to assist you. Your agents work for you, and your casting directors work for you. They're like liaisons between production and your agent and you. So between you and working this job is a casting director and an agent. But it's ultimately production who makes the decision. Everyone else is going to be like a doorway or a window. Mm-hmm. So you have to remember that there's a certain amount of responsibility that goes on us. But we need to make sure that we're building relationships or having people that work for us, who represent us, that are just as good at taking the initiative as we are. So if I'm getting out here and I'm busting my butt to build these relationships and network and do everything that they tell you to do in acting school or business school, I expect the person that I am working with, that I'm trusting my career with, to be doing the same thing, more or less.
Yeah, because it's quite deceiving that you put so much energy in doing all this, and all of a sudden you get a job offered to you directly because of all your initiative and all you putting all of the wood in the fire, and all of a sudden your agent gets his or her percentage without doing a thing, and you did.
Well,
that's not really fair. Really.
No, this is an issue that happens in the States, and this is what I'll tell you. And it depends on your relationship with your agent, which is why it's so good to have an agent that you have a great relationship with, because there's a lot that they do behind the scenes that we don't see. Mm-hmm. If you have a good agent, this is for the great agents out here. Okay. So there's a lot behind the scenes that we don't see that they're doing for us. And some of it comes to fruition, which means some of it we actually see something happens, we get an audition, maybe we book. And a lot of it we don't see anything happen at all, because maybe it just didn't work out for us to get the audition or whatever for the role. But they're working for us behind the scenes. And so there's this question that comes up a lot is, if I book something on my own, do I pay my agent for it? The agent is going to more than likely say, well, yeah. And some of them have it in the contract that they would prefer this. Some actors are like, no, I worked for it, I'm not paying anything.
Yeah.
My opinion is, if I have a good relationship with my agent, I do not mind paying them a percentage of a job that I got based on my own initiative, because I do know that they work hard or that they fight for me. But this is if you have a great agent. If you don't have a great agent, then you don't need an agent. Then you shouldn't have an agent. Do you know what I mean? If you do not have a good relationship with your agent, then you don't need one. Because I know I booked a job before. I didn't know that my agent had submitted me for this job. Mm-hmm. Also, they never contacted my agent. They contacted me directly to work this job. And I'm like, oh, I booked a job on my own. Yay. And it paid, maybe $900 a day. And they had me working 3 or 4 days plus, 20% or something like this. And I said, well, I'm going to keep all this money because I worked hard and got this myself. then I thought about it, and I was like, well, my agent has been like, they've been doing a lot of work for me. Let me send her a message and let her know, because the most important thing about an agent in the States is they don't just book you the job. They're there to make sure you don't get screwed over. Does that translate in Spain? Do we have something that says screwed over in Spain? What's a good word?
Que no te jodan.
Yeah. So the agent is also there to make sure you don't get screwed over. And that means sometimes production, whether purposely or not, will slip things into a contract, like being able to use your image forever, that you may not see, and you just sign the paper because you're so excited to work a job. And your agent is the one that has to go through every single thing to make sure that not only are you going to be paid, you're going to be paid fairly, you're going to be paid enough, and then to make sure they have to compensate you for using your image for however long that they say. So when I booked this job, I thought about it, and I was like, I don't really know how to read contracts that well. I think I'm going to contact my agent to help me with this now that I've booked it. And I contacted her. I said, hey, I booked this job. I need your help looking at this contract. And she said, you know what? I actually sent you in for this job. And I was like, oh, did you? Okay. So she looked over my contract. She double checked my contract. And as soon as I got paid, I sent them 10%. I sent them 10%. Even though I felt I did, some of the work to get in, they did as well. And they're there to help you. If you don't have a good relationship like that and you can't speak with your agent like that, you need a new agent. So that's just my opinion.
I totally agree with you. And I even go further, because sometimes people, especially young actors or that they've just started, they ask me, yeah, but it's not fair, because if I was booked directly, why should I give my agent her or his commission? And I say, okay, imagine for 1 second, let's not talk about contract, because you know how to read a contract. Great. Imagine for 1 second, the job is in Abu Dhabi and you have a problem there. The person who's going to get your ass out of there is going to be your agent. So I think that that's important enough to have, but obviously it's like you said, you do have to have a very good relationship with your agent. Yeah. It has to be a relationship which is such that there is always communication. 100%. You're going on holiday, you have to tell your agent. You're going on holiday. You want to cut your hair, you have to ask your agent, because maybe your agent presented you for something and you have long hair. And
I don't want to cut you off, but I want to say it's not necessarily asking your agent, because you're an individual, and if you want to shave your head and go pink, you can. The thing is, you need to be contacting them to see that if you're still trying to be an actor and you're still trying to do commercials and television work, if you can stay commercial. Do you know what I mean? Yeah, so I'm going to say that again. That makes more sense. You can do whatever you want, but you may affect your career, right? Yeah. So it's important for you to confer with your agent to see if that's going to be the best decision for your career, keeping that in mind. So yeah, if I want to cut my hair, I may be, but let me ask my agent, because they know what kind of people are being called in for auditions all the time. Maybe it's people with long hair, maybe it's people with big afros. They'll know before I do. Yeah. And so it's always, like you said, it's always a great idea to check with them before making any major decisions.
Yeah, it is. It is. Absolutely. Can we talk now about the problems that actors of color and ethnicity are facing in the States? Or even in Europe? I mean, I think it's something that it's not only for the States. I think this happens out of the United States also.
Yeah, it does. It's a global issue, and I touched on it a little bit before, is that there's a real issue with representation when it comes to actors of color, and that's especially for dark actors who are unable to pass for ambiguous races. So Black actors, Arabic actors, Latino actors, you kind of see them being stuck in a box a lot. How often do you get to see an Arabic actor be the protagonist in a film? It's very rare. They're often painted as terrorists and criminals. And how often do you get to see, even now, a lot of Asian actors as the protagonist in a film? It's very rare. Now, I will say there have been some steps made in Black actors now being able to hold roles as protagonists, but that's still such a thing that a rare thing that it's not proportionate. It's still so common that I walk into the room and it's a normal thing that I'm the only Black woman in there going for a role, especially here in Spain. I've gone out for tons of roles that weren't initially for women of color because there were no roles for women of color. They have to send me out for a role that was originally for a Spanish woman. And I know when I get sent out for roles like that, my chances of getting it are very small. I have to be spectacular. And that's how a lot of Black actors feel. That we can't just be good actors. We have to be phenomenal. We have to be brilliant. We have to be spectacular just to be considered at the same level as the mediocre actor who is white or who is not POC, which stands for person of color. And so I still find I'm getting a lot of auditions, especially here in Spain, for very small characters. Oh, I don't like to say small characters. Let's say short characters. I got that from Nicole, and sorry. There are no small characters, only short characters. So roles like prostitutes and very ill people and criminals and maids and nurses and just people who are just there to support the white person in the scene. They're just there to support the protagonist. That's their main purpose in the film. And I expect more, and I want more for all of us. And I mean, I think the best way we're going to get that now is by creating our own. And just like I did with Dallas Actors of Color, there comes a point where you can't continue to complain about how things are, and you have to go and actively change them. If I'm tired of the way something is, well, then I'm going to do something about it. I'm going to actively change the way that the world is, so that I feel like I belong in it.
But I really do find it a bit sad, be it in the States or being
it's awful
in Europe, that a character be, for instance, the problem is not only in the color, but it's also an age problem.
Yeah.
Or a sex problem. Why women cannot be judges? Why women cannot be presidents of a company, a CEO? Why a woman? There are more roles for men than for women. Women we usually tend to get almost the same roles always.
Well, women are also more like pillars for men in a lot of things, and older people in general, older women especially, have a hard place fitting in. Can you imagine being an older woman of color? Like, where do you belong at all? And now with special effects starting to make younger women look older, that's taking out even more roles for older actors who could otherwise have a part in a project. I've always thought that acting is an ageless profession, but they're really trying to change that. Usually acting is one of those things that you could be short, tall, old, young, Black, white, and still find somewhere to fit in. But that it's reaching a point now where they're finding new ways to exclude people, and that's hard to accept. But once again, that's where we have to start creating our own content.
I had a very funny discussion the other day because someone was asking me, well, you know what? Not really asking me, telling me, the problem is that you're too old for the role. And I said, well, you know what? You guys are very good at making young people look old. Why don't you make me look younger? That would be an idea.
That would be an amazing idea. If
Hey,
they could make us all look younger, I would be
yeah,
totally down for that. Absolutely.
yeah, why
But
not?
no, if I feel like everything could work both ways. But you know, for all of the creativity in this industry, sometimes it seems like they could be so small-minded for certain things,
Yeah.
and it really is. It's really sad because it's endless, it's limitless, the possibilities that we can do as actors, as creators. I mean, without art, imagine how boring this life would be. If it wasn't for art, imagine how this quarantine would have been without books, without film, without television, music. Just imagine. I don't think we would have survived, not even a week
No,
in
no,
isolation without any
no.
art. And so I expect it to be more open and to be more inclusive for all of us. And that's the goal anyway.
Oh, yeah.
Is to be a more inclusive place, which is once again why I created Dallas Actors of Color, because it's a platform, it's a safe place for people that look like me. And with everything going on right now, it's needed now more than ever.
Well, I sure do hope it takes less time to reach that goal, because, I mean, this has been going on for so long that some people just even forget about it. It's just, or they just let go, and they just drop everything down and say, okay, I'm done. And no, you still have to fight for it, because, well, it's your dream. And as long as it's your dream, you have the right to fight for it.
Yeah. And honestly, nothing worth it ever came easy. And it's also something to think about is that everything of great importance always came at great risk. And sometimes you have to take that leap of faith when you have no idea what's below you to get to that goal, to reach that dream. It's never going to be something you're going to get too easily. It's never going to be something you're going to reach being safe. It's impossible. I left my entire country and moved across the world, not sure what I'm going to do, how I'm going to continue reaching my dream while I'm here, and took a leap of faith. And there was someone out there that took a chance on me, and I was able to have opportunities that I think that I probably wouldn't have had, at least not at this point in my career, had I stayed in the States, auditioning for some of the biggest names in film history. Mm-hmm. I have been seen by them. Some of the most notable household names in American cinema, I've been seen by them. And it's like, whether or not, you know, I end up being able to get the project or not, they've seen me, they've seen my face. And that's important for me. But I didn't get to that point without taking a leap of faith, without doing something that scared the hell out of me, and without taking a big risk. So if there's anything I want to give advice to actors is do something that scares you, because that's the only way you're going to see something magical happen.
True. How can we be supportive during times of adversity?
How can you be supportive? Well, if you're not a person of color, if you're not, especially right now, the climate is there's a lot going on with the Black community. And if you're not a person of color, if you're not a Black person, and you want to know how you can help out and be supportive, it first starts with self-evaluation. Look at yourself. Look at how you've been and how you behave. If it just took this moment of crisis for you to reach out, or for you to think about all of the trauma and the pain that's been going on for ages, then you have to realize, thank you, Jessica, you have to realize that the self-awareness is lacking in yourself. And you want to start with that. You want to start with self-awareness and holding yourself accountable. Like, okay, I am guilty of doing this. and not being an ally when I could have been before all of this happened.
Mm-hmm.
Small things happening on my day to day, when my friend made this joke, when my uncle said this, when my colleague had this picture up at work. It starts with the small things like that, holding yourself accountable for the things that you do. Then the next step is holding those accountable around you, your own family, your own friends, and not allowing them to perpetuate the things that hurt people, the prejudice and the racism that keep people down, that keep us down as an entire race of human beings, with the same color blood, with the same bones, with the same veins in our body. The things that cause us to be seen as second-class citizens. The reason why we're getting roles as criminals, because we're molding the minds of all the people that are watching the screens and saying, oh, look, these people are antagonists. So we first have to change the dialogue that people around us are having. It's our responsibility. It's your responsibility as a non-person of color to hold everyone around you accountable. That's what you can do as an ally. And just be vocal, and not just when things are going bad, not just when someone is murdered in the street. We don't want to wait until then to hear your voice. We want to hear it always. We want to feel it always. We want to know that you're with us throughout it all. That's going to be most important to your friends and family members who are like me, people of color. We want to feel like we've belonged in this whole time in your heart, and we've always been there. We don't want to be just your Black friend. We want to be your family the same way you would refer to your family, the same way you would treat them. And it's going to take making sure you open that dialogue.
Yeah.
That's just your first step. There's so much more that can be done, but that's the first step.
Mm-hmm. Well, everyone, you already heard Amber and what we should all be doing, really. It's not only a matter for people of color or just any person, really. No one is better than no one, and no one knows more than no one. We are all, there's no such thing as there's only one race, which is the human race, and we are all in it, whatever color we are, and whatever religion or political party or whatever. It's just, I mean, and for God's sake, like I say, we only have one life to live, and we should at least live it at our best. We have 10 more minutes. I would like to say hello to everyone, because we've been talking and people kept saying hi, and people are saying, say hello. So we're just saying hello to everyone. And we have 10 more minutes. I like to have 5 minutes to thank everyone. To finish, I would like to ask you, have you got any projects that were stuck on hold because of the confinement?
I did receive auditions for projects that I had to turn down because they were filming in the States. Mm-hmm. And I was not able to fly to the States because of the lockdown. Yeah. I never ended up submitting for them because of that reason. But I have been lucky enough to be accepted into the Identity School of Acting, so I'm not sitting here being useless. It's a great school. I'm excited. I just started yesterday in the professional program that they have there. And so at least I'm here and I feel like I'm still being active. But as of right now, I don't have any pending projects.
Okay. This acting school is in the UK, right?
It is based in the UK. They also have a school in Los Angeles as well. They may or may not be opening more schools, but because of the virus and the pandemic situation, they have provided an online platform for actors now. So no matter where you are, they have students in Sweden and Australia and all over the US, and of course here in Spain because they have me, that are now able to train, and it's not easy, mind you. It's you think online and you think simple. No, that it's hardcore. So able to do that from the comfort of your home and still be able to stay connected to your craft. So it's really great that they offer that.
Well, we're getting to the end. We're not going to have time for people to ask you questions. I'm really sorry about this. It's not going to be the last time we see Amber on Tell Me Over Coffee. It will be a pleasure to have you back again. I just wanted to thank you for sharing this afternoon with us and for letting us get to know you a little bit more. We will be looking very forward to your career and how it's going to be going up, 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 up. And to all of you, I want to thank you for assisting and being here with us and getting to know Amber a little bit more. I will be putting her website and her social media in the video as soon as I put it up in my YouTube channel and in my IGTV. And you will be able to see more things about her just following her on social media. And thank you loads, Amber. It was a big pleasure having you here today. And I just hope to see you soon.
Thank you so much. And I see a couple of people there. I know they're saying, hi, Jessica. I know I see you. Hi, everyone. Hi. Thank you so much. Hi. Thank you, Yassmine, for having me. I really appreciate you guys and your support and your love. And I really do hope to have more to share with you very soon.
Oh, we will. We will. I believe that. We will. So just a big kiss and a huge hug to all of you. And to Amber, you know how I feel. So it's just, you know, a love, love, love to everyone. And the last thing, be very responsible, and you guys, you all stay very, very safe.
Stay healthy out there. Bye. Un beso y un café, ¿no?
Y un café. Bye.
Luego.